the trenches of motorsports and Gearhead Central. This is RealTuners Radio, your all-motor, boosted, and nitrous-fed hour of power. Now, here's your hosts, the Reverends of RPM, the Faction of Traction, John Bewley, Scott Clark, Bill Fowler, Scott Evans, Mark Dahlquist, Mike Perduto, James Short, Tom Sewell, Brian Barnhill. This is RealTuners Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to RealTuners Radio. Tonight, we're hoping to cover two topics. First, our guest Robert Ette is here to talk about his approach to solving your race car packaging problems. Then we want to talk about Dan Parker's upcoming record attempt and how we're supporting him here at RealTuners. So buckle up and get ready for a ride along with Dan. This is RealTuners Radio. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to RealTuners Radio. It is Wednesday, February 5th, 2020. Glad to have everybody back. Got an interesting crowd tonight. Got a lot of good feedback. I won't waste too much of your time before we bring on the guests, but just a real quick reminder, look over here to my left, your right. 6 seats left for this class in Florida, March 28th and 29th. And it's currently the only one on the calendar right now. We are working on Ohio, and we know we're going to do a 417 motorsports class coming up here. Oh, I guess that's going to be sometime in April. We're looking at towards the end of April. But anyway, so definitely check out the Florida class. You can check out the details at realtuners.com. There's a link for EFI tuning classes, but the Florida class is going to be pretty cool. Limited to 20 seats. Got 6 left and 7 weeks to go. So that class is for sure going to sell out. Hope to see you there. Now, that being said, let's bring on the guest. So tonight's guest, special guy, it's kind of funny. You know, I announced that Bob Ette was going to be on the show and immediately had like 300 people posting about how, oh, this guy saved my bacon. And, oh, man, this guy set me up with a custom drive for my cable drive fuel pump, and just all kinds of interesting feedback. So I was really anxious to meet this guy and chatting with him beforehand, before the show. Did not disappoint. Interesting guy. And he's done a lot of stuff that I don't think a lot of us realize that he's done. Testing and development work for other big name companies. So we're also going to talk about Dan Parker tonight, who is with us. So we want to try and get Bob going, and once we're done with him, we'll get talking to Dan Parker. As a lot of you guys have probably been watching, we, the RealTuners Coalition, or whatever you want to call us, have been kind of helping out Dan as much as we could. And a couple of our guys, man, James Short, Mark Dahlquist, absolute heroes, went down there and helped turnkey that car and get it tuned and ready to go. And there's some other big news, some stuff that you'll hear about in a couple more weeks. Can't talk about that yet, but Dan Parker is headed for a Guinness Book effort here at the East Coast Timing Association event at Spaceport, USA. So without further ado, I will bring in the crew. Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. Ette, are you there and can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Outstanding. All right, cool. So I guess they didn't get your camera fixed. Nice job, Evans. I'm going to throw you under the bus for that. Just kidding.
Yeah, sorry. He doesn't want to allow me in there because there's some proprietary things that he didn't want to accidentally give away.
From what I can see, Scotty, you're too busy for any of us. Look at you there.
Right.
Yeah, I'm working on some race car parts right now so I can keep working on my race car.
I say, see over here, Teflon taping.
I can multitask.
Thanks for your focus.
Right. For sure. Well, Bob, very cool to have you, man. Thanks so much for joining us. I would describe you as a problem solver, but can you give us a little bit of background about your day job, your company, how it got started? Just give us a little overview to get us up to speed.
Yes, Scott, I think problem solver is probably first on the list. That's my career choice for automotive. I've been an automotive OEM engineer, and now I'm a consulting engineer for anybody that'll have me. Currently working 3 weeks a month out in Reno for a supplier to Tesla.
Nice.
I have a couple of patents on headliner processes, and for 34 years I've been doing that kind of stuff. But in 2008, I was forced to get into the private market because my automotive OEM supplier I worked for went belly up. So I started this part-time. I've been doing it part-time since then. Scotty's got, on his original F-body, Scotty's got
A
had
whole lot of
some-
Bob parts.
some of my
So I
first-
hear.
Yeah, so Scotty was a test bed, and he beat on it pretty good. So it was a good test run.
No,
I had all kinds of
So-
brackets. I had all kinds of pump adapters. I had all kinds of stuff. I literally probably had 20 different devices from Bob at some point or another that I put on my car,
And I
including
think
things I have on the current car.
best way to get into a market is to understand where the needs are, where there's holes in product lines. And boy, it's just been a pleasure to make stuff that have worked for people, and then I get to sell a few more of them. So I hope to keep doing that. I think in about 6 months I'll be doing this full time. I'll get a product line well established on a website, and we'll see how big we can get this.
So, Bob or Scott, would you describe for everybody in the audience? We had a really interesting photo up as we were coming into the start of the show. If there were 20 items, Scott, can we talk about some of the problems that those items solved? Maybe a little bit about what they look like, and how you were able to use them successfully.
Well, I think the first one I did was a manual tensioner that Bob made me, and it solved problems with some belt issues I was having with the stock tensioner. Super simple. He put a really nice, I don't remember what bearing was in there, but it was something that was good to like 20,000 RPM, like a serious good bearing, held up to everything I could throw at it. Any amount of engine RPM I could do, it was happy.
It had to be 30,000.
Yeah. I had a vacuum pump bracket that fit where the AC condenser went, so that because I lost AC in my car by choice, and put a vacuum pump down there instead. And then the drive system for it was just an ATI pulley with the HTD belt on it. I've had numerous fittings and adapters for various things. Bob made me a Valley baffle plate that we custom did a few things to help keep oil from sucking up into the vacuum pump because it's so aerated inside an LS motor with that big open valley. Trying to think what else we put on the car. We put so many little things here and there, like literally tons of little brackets. I had a motor plate from Bob. That was actually probably the first thing I did from Bob was a motor plate. Bob helped me cut down the power steering pump bracket to work with the motor plate, which was, the stock power steering pump bracket doesn't work with the motor plate. If you do it, you push everything out however thick your motor plate is. So Bob machined the power steering pump bracket for me so I could still use power steering on the car because I didn't want to have to gorilla arm and I wasn't ready for a manual rack at the time.
And those things grew into really anything that spins on the front of the motor has been requested by a bunch of good racers. So
I mean, that's your specialty, really, isn't it? You seem to come up with all these really cool drive solutions that are compact. They just look right. They look like an OEM design, actually. It looks like what GM or Ford would do to solve that same problem. It makes a lot of sense hearing you talk about it now. Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, we did for my buddy Robbie. We did a fuel pump drive for him on his Love truck on an LS motor that was kind of a lower, again, AC compressor location, which worked awesome. Still using it today.
I currently have five different positions for a cable drive on the front of the LS. Top center over the valley cover, right in front of each head, and then lower driver and lower passenger. So always looking forward to somebody needing more than one of those.
I think we did alternator relocation and we did the timing pointer. What else did we do?
Well, maybe not for you, Scott, but I've got a daily. A lot of guys are using a NASCAR daily dry sump that there are no brackets that bolt up to LS. So I've got a couple of those I'm doing, and Peterson oil pump as well. So I've got quite a few brackets for Peterson too. So in a nutshell, any kind of drive, anything that needs to spin on the front of an LS, and then of course small block and big block. That's kind of reinventing the wheel, but anything like that, small block Ford, even modular Ford. I got fuel pump systems, modular Ford too.
When we did my supercharger setup, I did a cog drive and I designed a bracket idea in CAD and sent it to Bob, and he finalized it up and got me bolt holes that lined up perfect with the big F1 supercharger, and he came up with the tensioner and all that stuff for it.
So if somebody calls you and they need a custom bracket, so what information do you need from them?
Well, Tom, I'm working on a worksheet that'll answer every question, because it's kind of typical. There's so many factors that I've got to ask for, and customers don't really know. There's so many things involved. So I'm working on a worksheet that'll fill out all that stuff. It's kind of a questionnaire that'll help get custom problems solved. What balancers on the front of the motor, what other drives are on the front of the motor, what block it is, since there are so many different designs of LS blocks. Raised cam, standard cam, raised deck, standard deck. Quite a few options now for truck or 5th gen LS3. That's one balancer design. Vet, F-body. Lots of little details that help build the right drive system.
Simple enough. Damn, he makes it sound so easy. That stuff's hard to make.
I think we did some suspension stuff on my car too. We did.
Does he
I
get
had some brackets that Bob made me.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm running his wheel speed setup on the front of mine, and man, if you've got like, you know, spindles and strange brakes and all that stuff, you don't have factory ABS sensors anymore. Man, he makes it super easy to get that reluctor wheel put in behind that rotor, and a nice Hall effect sensor, you know, screwed through the bulkhead of the caliper bracket. It's just super simple. It works awesome.
That's real popular. That's become real popular, James. I'm glad to do those. I've got one that bolts on the slip yoke if in case customers don't want to put it on the pinion yoke. I've got one that goes on the slip yoke as well.
How many teeth do you make on those?
I missed part of that, Tom.
I'm sorry. How many teeth do you have on those ones?
How many teeth on the reluctor wheel?
Generally 22, and don't ask me why I picked that number. It was just a good number.
Because that's a pain in the ass number for us ECU guys.
See the machine?
Sometimes it's 20 if I've got a real tight bolt pattern for where the reluctor's got to bolt onto the hub. I need to have I got to nest that bolt head between reluctor targets. So I've got a couple that are 20, some that are 18, but generally it's 22 in almost every case, unless I've got to push them around.
Okay, awesome. You know, it seems like a lot of the ECUs and a lot of the traction controls are looking for more teeth now. So I was just curious. more
Yeah.
teeth, the better. It seems like.
Yep.
Exactly. That's the advantage. Yeah, at low speed, 5 points or even fewer just really doesn't get the job done.
Nope. Not
And
until you're
it's
moving.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, at low speed. Right. Right. And at low speed, that's generally when we have more of our traction problem.
Correct. No, and that's why you see 110 teeth or more on all these OEM applications now. You know, it's interesting that they're still doing it with VR sensors, but
yeah.
So yeah, cool.
Yeah, as I understand it, some of the ECUs can't take that AC sine wave from a OEM style.
Correct.
Or,
you need an inductive input, but you can also get a converter.
Right, or they don't perform well at low speed.
Correct. And I don't know if you've ever used an oscilloscope or put one on an oscilloscope, but you'll see it, the inductive pickups, the variable reluctance ones, their voltage high and low signals are proportional to the speed of the teeth going by. So that's one of the things Ford uses those on their crank sensors, and there were TSBs out there. If the battery gets weak and the starter's cranking it over kind of slow, that is somebody snoring? Is that...
That might have been me.
Oh, that's hilarious. Dan's hilarious. Wake up, Dan. So he's in the queue. That's awesome. No, I mean, we've got dogs barking, babies needing a diaper change, all kinds of shit on here. It's awesome. Get your Red Bull. Yeah, Dan's tired. Dan's been doing work. He's tired. But anyway, no, that's shit. Anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about before that. Dan Parker, so more exciting. That's all right.
VR sensor voltage.
So if you put it on a oscilloscope, you'll see that I was talking about the Ford crank wheels, where if the battery got weak or the starter got wore out, they wouldn't crank fast enough to trigger the signal in the ECU, because this ECU will have a threshold that says, hey man, you got to get to at least 0.2 or 0.3 volts on these signals, on these sine waves, before we'll start registering, because anything below that might be noise. So there's a lot to think about with the inductive pickups. That's kind of my specialty.
The trick on just for something to add to that, the trick on like the Hollies trying to use the stock VR sensor with the stock triggers on those Fords is just to treat it as magnetic, so you can set the threshold. That way you can literally set the threshold to 0, because it'll make it's basically halfway in the VR signal, right? So you still have your up and down. It doesn't show anything below 0, so it still triggers properly. And you can always use a pull-up resistor with 5 volts or 12 volts to it to bring that signal and shift it up in the scale as well. It'll give you a little more gas if you need it, but you have to have the voltage there to begin with.
Does he have a website?
Yeah.
Well, that kind of explains the low speed, maybe lack of voltage for let's say a 4th gen Camaro. Just that factory ABS wouldn't make the right signal for your Holly.
Right. It's real low signals.
I actually had a lot of dealings with that, because before I put the spindle mount, set up on my personal car, I was using the ABS, and fortunately, I run a Haltech on mine. They have a programmable, threshold based on, whatever axis you want to, plot it against. So at low speeds, I could lower that voltage trigger to where it would actually still trigger correctly. And it makes sense, because if you look at the OEMs, they're able to plot that speed, down to 1 mile an hour. But a lot of the aftermarket stuff that isn't as programmable, where it has maybe one preset threshold that's not adjustable or not scalable across, a particular speed, it gives you a little bit of issue, and is susceptible to noise at higher speed. So.
Yeah, so watching the pictures go by, problem solver does seem to be the right phrase. So for to answer that question, I think we got to that earlier, but it's AEICNC.com. Is that correct, Bob?
That's right. That website is ignored, I'm sorry to say.
Okay.
It's got very big, there's just mountains more of product, but to be honest, the reason I haven't updated that is my work schedule out of the shop. So to be honest, it's a pleasure to hear from people over Messenger or Facebook just to say, hey, I've got this. Can you help me? And it fits my schedule quite well. When I get home 1 week out of the month, it's 12, 14 hours in the shop. Sometimes at midnight, the lathe is still spinning before I got to fly. I got to fly at 5 a.m. the next morning. So I really enjoy it. I appreciate all those customers, and especially their patience, because I'm sure I test it from time.
So, Bob, you mentioned that. What is the best way for people to get in queue, so to speak?
You know, and I think, James, I've seen you say this before. The phone is like a nuisance, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but their messenger or email or text is the best because, one, it's not quite as intrusive. Number two, I don't take notes well, but when I type, I have notes, and I have notes from the customer. So that's the best way to get in touch and to work out a solution.
Yeah, so as we've been watching the pictures go by, obviously there's a large number of interesting solutions for LS platform, but you're solving for the things that everybody needs to deal with these days, whether that's mechanical fuel pumps or how to, I love this picture of how to hide an alternator down where the AC condenser would have normally been on an LSX or an LQ, those type of things. So there's a lot of really clever solutions because most of the time, all of us are always left with trying to figure out, well, how do I get this here? And I run a lot of Peterson stuff on our builds. And so seeing that behind the damper for a narrow Gilmer drive or super torque drive, that's just hugely useful to try and solve these packaging problems as, you know, the front ends of the motors get more complex.
That's right, Bill. The customer feedback has pushed these designs to be tight to the motor and away from typical down and low headers or any other drives that are on the front of the motor.
Yeah, there's one, you know, we're always following the screen a little bit, but I'm just looking at this with distributor drive on the front, and then we've got a 4-rib to get the alternator in, and on the other side, we've got a mechanical pump and an oil pump. Just, yeah, because for everybody who's ever tried to make stuff like this, for most of us, that's like, yeah, that didn't work out so well.
Yeah, let's make it so one guy has to pull his hair out, not the whole all of the race kingdom.
Yeah, it also looks like a lot of your pulleys are 2-part, so that makes it easier to get belts on and off. Is that what we're seeing? And I'm just guessing here, but I noticed that it looks like there's kind of sandwich in some cases. Is that so you can mount a fixed position belt for like a Gilmer or a high torque?
Well, I don't design any fixed position drives unless there's a tensioner somewhere in it, and generally the baseline bracket that holds any device will have an adjustment in it, so I don't have to rely on another part of the system to have a tensioner in it. Those pulleys are like that only because a bolt-on, very thin pulley flange is all that's necessary. And it's cheaper to make, and especially with an HTD or even a Gilmer pulley, you've got to get a tool in there to cut that groove, and so you really got to have bolt-on flanges.
It's mostly to keep the belt on the pulley, as if you don't have flanges on it, it wants to walk wherever it wants to go, depending on if there's even just the slightest angle, tilt, anything to it, it'll walk off the pulley. But you can have a very, very, very super slight misalignment and it'll still stay on if you just have those little tiny bit of side pieces on it.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is at higher RPM, the nose of the crank is not moving in a perfect circle. So
that's it.
Belts want to go places. So yeah, all that sort of stuff.
Well, that's a testimony to the HTD belt profile. It's a much sturdier, much more efficient than the old Gilmer, and it'll withstand quite a bit of wobble on any of the devices. To Scotty's point, any drive on a Gilmer or HCD should only one of the pulleys should have guides on it. Otherwise, you can over constrain the belt. So, for instance, ATI has pulleys that will either bolt on in the case of a truck or a 5th gen 3, a bolt on HDD pulley, or VET or F body. those are, and except in the case of the F body, there's not a single guide, pulley flange or belt flange on any of those, so that my pump pulleys will have 2 flanges on it. They are the constraint.
Nice.
So Bob, in one of the descriptions here, you mentioned compatibility with both stock and brand M water pumps. I'm not going to overrule you on what brand M might be here, but a lot of folks run those products because they really work well. So it's nice to have that cross-platform compatibility. Again, we talked about the website isn't the ideal way. If they want to send you a messenger, where are you on Messenger?
I think that's at Robert Eddy on Messenger, but if you find me as just Robert Eddy on Facebook, friend me or PM me, that's the best place.
Just search for his name in Turbo Bullet or any of the major Facebook groups, and you'll quickly find people. Actually, it's some interesting reading when you search your name and all the problems you solve for these guys. And it was interesting feedback we got when we told people we were going to have you on, because we just kind of wanted to get to know you. And, and Evans told us, hey, this guy's really cool, so we should have him on. And he did. Thank you, Mr. Evans, for hooking that up.
Check in the mail, Scotty.
Yeah, buddy.
I met Bob back in probably 10 or 12 years ago, somewhere around there. It was maybe 2008, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I met Bob, and I had just moved to Tennessee and had met a couple of other car guys having some fun, and they knew Bob, and therefore I now know Bob.
Bob probably was real popular amongst his local car scene, I'm just going to guess, for the stuff he's able to resolve.
All my career I traveled for work. So if I get to go to a race, it's a very rare event. So the internet and sales by which come from the internet are really a perfect answer for traveling.
It kind of works that way for some of us too. I can't be in 4 places at every same weekend, but I can do remote tunes for a lot of people and be there virtually, and then pick the races I want to go to a couple times a year, and that works out for us too. So, well, cool. Anybody else got any questions for Bob?
I got a shout out to very good vendors that drop ship for me too.
Yes.
So
actually, list them all.
Waterman.
Yep.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of great suppliers that pull me out of trouble sometimes, especially if I'm on the road and I need to. So take care of your suppliers.
Awesome. That's interesting. So Jeff Stacy? Do you talk to him at all at Aeromotive? He's
yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff is one of the most downloaded, most popular episodes. I think he's 2nd or 3rd. I think he's right behind Big Chief. Yeah. His 2 episodes are wildly popular. Just unbelievably good info we get from Jeff on the from Aeromotive. We love Aeromotive, so they help us out. And do they own Waterman now, or they're part of Waterman, or how that works? Yeah.
I think that's true. I think they bought Waterman, but the companies perform independently, and the same guys are in each place. So
yeah, they didn't just right. They didn't just
relationships
take them over. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. Really sweet deal.
Nice.
Good guys.
Cool. Does anybody have further questions for Mr. Eddy tonight? We've talked about how to get a hold of him. You can rewind for that if you need to hear that again, but find him on Facebook Messenger. And like many of us, he prefers to use the social media messenger because it's nice. You can scroll back up and remember what you were talking about with 300 different people. But yeah, so that's pretty much covered that. Anybody else? Bill, anybody see any questions? Going once? Going twice? All right. Bob, it was good to meet you, man. Just you're welcome to sit here and chill out with us as long as you like. But we are going to transition to our next topic. So obviously, I mean, you guys have been following us. Yeah, please hang out. This part's pretty interesting. We got some interesting stuff going on. Our buddy Dan Parker, who's been on the show many times, and we've actually featured him once as well. Also the funniest guy with the best sense of humor, probably out of all of us. Would you say? I think between him and Bewley being the guys that make us laugh the most, it's probably Parker.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Bewley's right there. I love the guy, and I'm glad he's back with us tonight. It's good to hear you again, buddy. But Parker is one funny MF. So, and by the way, we got advertising space on the windshield of the Corvette because he ain't going to need it.
Big Newtons.
Right,
That's right. Big Newtons to the top.
Bro, someone should seriously send like an application to Fig Newtons for that.
Maybe Bill Fowler might be the guy to do that because he might be able to pull that off. I don't know. I'm
happy to give that a try.
Yes. Okay. Maybe we'll do that quick. We got 2.5 weeks. But anyway, Dan, welcome back, man. It's good to have you. Are you awake now? We keeping you awake?
Yeah, I had a good rest here for a second, so I'm fresh. I'm good to go now.
Are you pretty much been full throttle to like 12, 14, 16 hours a day on that car for the last month and a half now?
Oh, it's been longer than that. Probably 2 months between that and the pins and the trailer and the truck and everything else, man. The car is just one part of the equation. And so I'm making these 50 ride-along pins, and then we got the dually in front of mine. He's a diesel guru, getting the 6.0 bulletproofed, and just trying to make the whole package, so it's been a long journey, but we're getting close.
Right. So speaking of which, theblindmachinist.com is your website, right? Yep. I don't know if everybody knows this. I want to make sure everybody does. You can, is it too late to do a ride-along pen, or can we still talk about those?
Okay. Yep.
Get your damn order in now. For $250, you can get a pen that this crazy guy is going to take along with him in the car while he does his 200-mile-an-hour pass to become the world's fastest blind guy. Provided that all happens. Go ahead.
And the pins are 100% machined by me. All the aluminum bodies. Yeah. And I got a lot of intricate mill work that I did. It's a totally different design for anything I've done before.
Oh, so they're not the same pins as the other ones?
They're not. No, they're like the executives, the fat ones. But I did a lot of more intricate mill work, sort of show some different variables of how I do things. And then they're going to be red with black trim to match the Corvette.
You bastard! That means I got to send you $250. Then I'm gonna have to get one of those too. But I got to get the Razor. I want the Razor because I use the Mach 3 Turbo Razors anyway, and that thing is badass. Yeah. Mary saw that and she's like, "Why don't you have that yet? That's something you actually, She's like, your dumbass can't write with those awesome pens that she's using." But because she's the executive in the house, but I did. So the ride along pens, I'm gonna have to get one of those. I'll get an order going. That sounds pretty cool.
And we also
all need the ride along pens,
because
executive pens are way bitchin', but the ride along pens sound like they're even more way bitchin'. So
right,
y'all got some of these.
Yes, sir.
And we also got some new colors, some pink champagne for the ladies for colors. We've been so damn busy, we hadn't had a chance to really promote it because it's just, like I said, been crazy here. But we got some new colors. I think Ainsley's got them on the website, and they actually have 5 of the executive pens in the pink champagne also. The last time I took some to Cerakote, I told them to do 5 of them to see how they do, And but yeah, man, it's things have been going good. I want to thank Steve Strupp, ECTA.
Yes.
Steve reached out to me about the event, about doing some things for the event, and then me and him got talking. And I told him, I'd love to come there because a 1.5 is a perfect scenario for my, trying to set the world's fastest blind man record. It gives me a little bit more front half to get settled into my guidance system. And then, so Steve invited me, put me on the list, and then
he's being very accommodating to the whole team. He's awesome. Yeah, Steve Strupp is. Awesome. We're gonna have to have him on
awesome,
here.
He's awesome. And so originally Jason White's gonna be my co-pilot, but the insurance, had a little discrepancy concerns. So Steve's gonna step up, be my co-pilot, and man, I'm looking forward to it. And he's a wealth of knowledge and language also. And so it's
Right.
been good.
R.I.P. Steve.
Hey, Dan.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
Hey,
Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Dan. Let's talk about your guidance system a little bit. This is you've got a friend that works for Boeing that builds things like this in his free time,
Mhm.
and he did the original guidance system for your motorcycle, and now this is a new and improved and more complex system. What are the inputs that you get as a driver? How does the guidance system help you to drive?
The motorcycle guidance system, like if I went further off center, it would give me tones and steps like do 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 do, and it was getting harder for me to hear the louder speeds. And then I became good friends with Ben Felton in Australia. He's the world's fastest blind man on a motorcycle. He's been 168 on a motorcycle at the Salt Flats in Australia. And so him and his co-rider, they use, words like right will be a real slight, gradual right. And so taking cues from Ben and feedback, we talk, so the new guidance system will actually tell me if the center line is programmed about 1.5 feet each side of center. So that'll be a straight. The next 2 feet out will be a right. The next 2 feet out will be right. The next 2 feet out will be right. So it's telling me, as progression, as it gets more aggressive, and the time in between the rights or lefts will get increased to its speed, so that I know that I got to get a little more aggressive on the correction. And last year I practiced driving my buddy C7 Corvette, our local drag strip, and I actually got going 100 miles an hour just right past the 8th mile. And when I learned from that car is obviously, Corvette is being an aggressive handling car. It's got such sensitive steering. So when I designed the steering for the Corvette, I took a Howe quickener box that the dirt tracks use and turned it around backwards.
Yeah.
To slow my ratio down. So now I got about 5.5 turns lock to lock. So it's going to be a little bit, less sensitive, be easier for me to be smoother on my corrections. So we're looking forward to it. Patrick was here last week, the date Thursday, right before James got here on Friday, and Patrick's nervous wreck. He's like, we had to drill 4 13/16 holes in the roof skin of the Corvette for the antennas, the GPS sensors, and all that. And he was nervous. I said, man, this don't worry about this thing. They make more of these roof skins. It's a removable target top. No big deal. So we got those drilled. Patrick fitted the guidance system, took measurements for the cables for all the intercom system, the push to talk, the headsets, placements, and everything else. And so he took everything back to him. He'll be here a week from this weekend to reinstall everything. And if we have time, weather permitting, we're going to see if we can't go to the Pink City Drag Strip or Reynolds and try and make some low speed passes, see how it does.
So, I mean, were you guys a little bit concerned when you got to the part before Mark Dahlquist got down there 2 weeks ago and we're like, who the hell's really going to wire this car? I mean, did you trust those guys were going to show up? Or was that, I mean, that had to be a sketchy.
I had faith, and Mark reached out to me and offered to come down and wire. And that was just a blessing because, Joey Martin, took on the task of finishing the car.
Right.
And he said, man, there's no way I could have done what Mark done, building the whole harness, like he did. And, obviously the way it looks, everybody's just amazed how detailed it is.
Yeah.
So he really stepped up the mat and got us out of a bind. Took a lot of load off of Joey, allowed him to concentrate on other areas of the car.
I mean,
plus he had 100% faith that he could do it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. That's interesting. And I guess maybe you had us telling you let him do it because Mark, he sounds like the simple guy from North Dakota, but he is a badass at turnkeying and finishing a car.
Oh, yeah.
Setting up EFI and getting stuff wired up. And I guess he was pissed because the system, the harness he was using had some bad instructions or something. So didn't James have to work a couple of pins around or something?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was bad instructions. It was a new venture for them, and it wasn't a completed deal, and they were kind of working with me through it. And
so you're the guinea pig? Sweet. Right.
Yeah. We were sort of helping them develop this new deal. And so, in the end, it all worked out. And it was a lot of work. I mean, Mark worked Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all the way through Saturday night into 8 o'clock Sunday morning went to the hotel, got about an hour's sleep, came back and worked some more till it's time to go to the airport.
Oh.
You know, so it was a thrash session. And the whole time while he was working on that, you know, Joey and I were doing as much as we could do, and Joey's plumbing it and fitting everything else. And, you know, in the end, it all worked out great, man. Everybody's just amazed how good the car looks, and makes me proud to get old pro mod buddy of mine, Stan Allen, called me the other day. He said, man, I wish I could loan you my eyes for 10 seconds, let you see this thing. He said,
dude, I'm glad that he said that. I don't know if I'm something wrong with me, but the car just looks so badass.
Yeah.
It's the guys Joey and everybody did a real good job of making that thing look good.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
The attention to detail is just, you know, there.
I've got a question for you down in the car. I didn't get a chance to ask you when I was down there, but how on God's green earth did you do a louver line that straight? Like you did all the louvers on the underbelly, and they're straighter than I can do.
Well, I can't take credit for that. Locally, my buddy Jimmy Boykin and Mike Brown came up. We made the panels, and eventually I will start doing some louvers like that. Mittler Brothers, I met them at PRI show. They came on and sponsored me a louver press because I told them what I was needing to do, and so they helped me. So we got the press just in time right before we had to take the car to Joey's. So we thrashed one night, made the panels, and then they lined everything up, and then I pulled the lever on. There's over 100 louvers in that belly pan, and so I pulled the lever on at least all of them. But the Mittler Brothers deal is really neat because the dies have a lineup mark, so you can actually just pull draw you a line down your piece of sheet metal and center on their lineup groove, and then to index to the next louver, you put the pre-existing louver on the back side, and you can feel it square itself up. Then you center on that line, punch it, and it's perfect, man. That tool is amazing. Everybody's so impressed on how clean the louver punches are. You know, we've not deburred one louver on that whole car, and it's just amazing how you know we found the trick how to set it up, measure it. You know, because the head is indexable 4 positions. So when you do that, you really sort of got to set the dies back up just a little bit, just to make sure you get the quality. And we're really impressed with that deal. It's nice.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen pictures of this car yet, go to Tragedy to Triumph Racing and look at some of the pictures, the detail of all of the belly pan work, the entire car front to back, even the rear wing, all of it is all integrated, and it's really beautifully done. And
is that where I can show them pictures, Mark, on Facebook? Tragedy to Triumph. Is that where they're keeping the pictures at?
That's where Dan has a lot of them.
Yeah, tons of pictures on Tragedy to Triumph Racing on Facebook. And then last few days, I posted some videos when James came down, wired the car, cranked the motor. We put one up today for the dyno, and so it's been good. The only thing that they didn't get on the video was Sunday when we were putting the wheels on the car to get ready to go to the dyno. I came out of the bathroom, I had toilet paper hanging out my pants to mess with.
Oh, Jesus.
and everybody was so busy they didn't catch it. But I only had a couple inches hanging below my shirt line. You know, all if they was too embarrassed to say something to the blind kid or what.
No, I really didn't catch it.
That's awesome.
I'd have definitely said something if I did see it, though.
Oh, shit. That's hilarious.
It's been a thrash weekend, man. It has. And the motor sounds awesome. Jimmy Boykin, he owns Columbus Custom Exhaust here in town. He's a good friend of mine. He's going to be one of the truck drivers and crew members going to the spaceport. And he built all the exhaust. It's all stainless. It's got 3 mufflers. It's got one in
right now
tunnel, this integrated X pipe. Then it's got 2 mufflers, right past the rear end, and then the 2 center 3-inch tailpipe side by side right in the diffuser panel.
Your timing is perfect. We just scrolled through those. I'm scrolling through those pictures of the exhaust just now. Perfect. So, okay. So we got Mark's part taken care of. Then I guess was the concern, did you wait to start it until James got on site? James Short here then? Or
Oh, heck yeah. I wasn't going to hit the ignition button. James came down and, we still had a few things he had to figure out on the communication with the ECU. He, of course, got through all that. And when we cranked up the motor, I was nervous. It just didn't have as good oil pressure as I hoped. But just come find out, it was because the pressure sensor is up. ECU stock sensor, and I guess it's past the restrictors for the upper end. And so after sweating, we found a mechanical gauge. Put it in down low, and it was fine.
These guys were shitting themselves at that point. I remember that because we were getting the play-by-play from James. James like, so how's it going, James? I hope it's a restricted issue because this ain't making no oil pressure.
It was like 10 psi at idle. I was like,
Jesus,
this ain't good.
Yeah, exactly.
This ain't gonna fly.
And it's got a LS7, dry sump style oiling system on, and I ordered a K-Tech pump. I ordered the stock pressure, but the 30% more portage on the scavenge side. And when Gene built the motor, he was worried about, obviously enough oil, keeping too much oil pumped to the top end and not return fast stuff. So Joey, when he's building the tanks, we built the fuel tank up front, the oil tank. So he built matching tanks, they hold 4.5 gallons each. So, that's 18 quarts. So we got like 14 quarts in the oil tank. And everybody says it looks good as far as the level. So that gives a lot more oil, which is good for heat and obviously aeration and the make sure that oil pump doesn't run out. So that turned out good.
Sorry, I was just telling everybody how impressed I was that the slideshow is matching the discussion tonight.
The
so we got good pictures here.
Is awesome.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's not a slideshow. It's me sitting here clicking on Facebook pictures. So don't catch my messages. I got some guys pissed off at me because I'm supposed to pick up my license plate from a car I sold. Anyway, go ahead.
Drop that crap.
I know, right? Go away.
So one of the other discussions that's we've been having a lot offline as this has been going forward, Dan, is about everything from gearing to RPM in gear and what it will take to go 211 miles an hour. Can you kind of walk everybody in the audience through when you're talking about becoming the world's fastest blind man? How do you figure out what gear to run and what speeds and gears and how you actually hit those increments in order to make this the successful run that we all know it's going to be?
Well, the world's fastest blind man has been 200.4 in Europe. So, theoretically, we want at least 201. If we hit 201 this first time out, you're going to slap me, shut me up. But so, the problems, I don't know how everybody else does it, but I had to sort of figure out how I could calculate things in my head being blind, it's using my phone. So the calculation I use is, for instance, the 201 mile an hour, and I have a 91-inch rollout tire, 305, 45, 18. So if you divide 201 divided by 60, that comes up to 3.35. So what I do is I go 5,280 times 12 times 3.35 divided by 91 times 2.56, the gear in gear ratio. And then that gives me a number. But then the fourth gear in the 6L80 is a 115. It's not a 1-to-1. So I take that number and multiply it times 115, and it's coming up to roughly about 68.75. And then 2 or 3, Lane at PTC sponsored me a torque converter. They said it'd be really tight up top. So with 5% slippage, that's going to be puts roughly about 7,300 RPM. But Lane said we shouldn't have 2 to 3% slippage. So that should be, roughly 7,100 RPM, 7,200, which is perfect because that's the exact, RPM range. When Bewley designed the camshaft, we said about a 7,400 max. And
so he ended up with a monster flat torque curve. Good job, Bewley, because that the torque curve on that thing is about a 3,000 plus RPM stretch where that torque stays at the same number the whole time. So I told him, I'm like, hey, man, if we got to drop it into fifth gear, so be it, because that motor makes nut in the mid-range. So
well, and on the dyno, I was hoping for 600 horsepower, and it made 570. But that 6L80, after the fact, everybody's pretty impressed with the 570 to a 6L80 for a naturally aspirated deal.
Yeah, don't worry about the dyno.
Somebody else said, well, it didn't make the number. I said, listen, 600 is just a peak number. It's about average horsepower. That's what most people understand. Average horsepower, average torque is what gets the car.
You must have been part of the RealTuners radio.
You got a car that makes 600 horsepower in the last 300 RPMs, but 800 RPMs earlier makes 400 horsepower. It's not going to be worth a crap. It's
no,
the
not for us.
Horsepower. And so I feel good about it, and so with all the gearing, the way everything works, it should peak out roughly 71, 7,400 in fourth gear, and that'll I feel comfortable with it. So down the road, I talked to RPM Transmission today about the conversion, put a turbo 400 or a glide in the car, and then we can get rid of the stock ECU at that point if we wanted to, and then and that'll be down the road, probably next winter. Absolutely.
When it's time to go 220, then 240.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
With that case, just put
and you implement that 150 shot of nitrous on top of it.
Right. He's already got us bringing nitrous just in case.
That's probably going to be the most interesting discussion we have on RealTuners is what ECU do we put on Dan's Corvette?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, James has got dibs. I kind of see a Haltech going on it because James did the hard work with the factory ECU. He probably should get to make the call. I mean, I'd be happy with a Holly on it, but I'd be fine with a Haltech on it. And James, actually, there's some trick up the Haltech sleeve. Yeah.
What about an M-Tron?
Tempting.
I mean, technically any of them will work.
Yeah, I'd like to try something new on it. Make it interesting.
Yeah, Eric at Haltech and them, I met him several years ago before the wreck when I built the motorcycle for Matt Smith.
Yeah.
I met Eric when they were the first night we were trying to crank the first one.
I'm sure this thing will work eventually. Come back in 8 years. But no. No, that's I would think, to me, so me and Mark are going to the event just to kind of help out and keep things sorted out. We're going to set up the video cameras in the car, try and capture some data and overlay. Speaking of which, James, we got to talk offline. I got to make sure I know how to grab data off of that dash or whatever we're doing. But
yeah, depending on my schedule too, I may be able to get me a flight out there.
That would be sweet. Let's talk to us offline. I'm picking Mark up in Albuquerque on Thursday, so we could do that. But
awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, my point is, I would let James take the lead on this because he's most familiar with the car. He also nutted up and did the factory ECU tuning on it, and James is totally in charge of the tune on this. I'm just going to be his remote hands and any desk key tapper. But good job, James, on getting that fucker sorted out. He's got it set up to make long pulls, not just short 2-second hits at or 7-second hits at the drag strip. He took some power out of it with timing and running C16 on an all motor combo, so we can deal with any heat. We can deal with it works better with hot chamber temps. But James did a good job.
Oh yeah, and Monday, we had some problems Sunday with the torque tube coupler, and James, man, just
tell us about
big
that.
Time. He said, I'll stay an extra day, and so he was on the dyno. I just sat there at the door and let him do his thing, and didn't bug him. I let the man do his job, do what he does best.
He's the best.
So when we put the motor in the car, at Joey's, we found out there's a clamp that was missing around there's a coupler that goes on the back of the crankshaft that clamps around the splines to the torque tube. So Joey called in a favor of the local junkyard. They opened up, and I thought they gave us just the clamp. Well, the guy gave Joey the coupler and the clamp. So that's what ended up Joey put on the motor, and I didn't know that at the time. And it's no fault of his, but luckily that actually worked out because I don't know if the coupler got damaged maybe when they pulled the motor out or just whatever the reason is. The motor, they heard something. It's already making some noise. It's not the motor. It's the billet spline couplers in the torque tube, I believe, making the noise. And so they look up under it, and that coupler's cracked. And that's something that's just non-existent. Nobody has that damn part just laying around. So I'm calling everybody, that I can think of that might have one. And so I called Joey. I was fixing him to call the junkyard, see if they could open up on Sunday. And a friend of mine, one of my sponsors, he's a pilot. He would go pick it up for me. And Joey says, "You got one in your trailer?" I'm like, "You're full of crap." He says, "No." He said, we had an extra one. Yours that you brought is in the trailer. I said, so I went and got Irv. I said, "Irv, take me to the trailer." So he took me out to the trailer. I told him, he said, "Yes, in this trailer." About 2 minutes of digging and mountains of boxes. He says, "I got it." And so Chris Brewer owns a local speed shop, Brewer Speed and Racing. And they do a lot of, mainly just all LS work and a lot of Corvettes. Chris has got a 17, Corvette that's pretty sporty, makes 1,200 at the wheel. And so he said, "Y'all get on the lift, get that diffuser out of it, and get out of my way." So that's what we did. And in 2 hours, James, Chris, Irv, and all of them, they pulled the transmission, dropped the rear cradle, loosed the torque tube, all the exhaust, slid the cradle and the transmission back just far enough. They got in their work, changed the coupler, and put it back together in 2 hours. And so,
there's the coupler that broke, or the part that broke right there. Yep, I got it up on the stream now.
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely helped, but you got the dyno shop's the one that did the one end of the work. That dude's like a spider monkey.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah,
He likes spider monkey.
Did you feed him some meth or what?
That's the second time he's had the transmission out of the car, because he's the one that put the PTC torque converter in it for me, and at Jimmy's shop. And so, day before yesterday, I ordered that billet coupler from RPM Transmission. So before we go to Spaceport, and we'll see if I can't talk Chris one more time and pull that transmission, put that billet coupler on the back of the crankshaft, so we ain't gonna worry about that no more. I learned a long time ago racing, only go as many rounds you can feed it spare parts. So, that piece wasn't cheap, but we got it coming, and so we're gonna change it if we head out west, just to make sure. One more thing we can check off this: shouldn't break, but it's a race car, so you know how that goes.
Sorry, I'm reading some funny messages. Go ahead.
But so the dyno went good. Everything's cool. So James got on the road. We loaded up the car, took it back to my buddy Matt Goose, Team 7 Racing. That's his shop. In that video that David had, when he's flying around with the drone, showing around the Corvette.
Right.
Max 10,000 square foot hobby shop of his. And so he let me. He's a good friend of mine. He's helped me with the Corvette. So that's where we took the car back to, and this morning we took it to Jimmy's house. So I'm going to go to Jimmy's tomorrow morning at 7:30. We're going to work about noon, and then work on Saturday. Got some guys coming to help with the trailer, get everything organized, and start getting it ready to get on the road.
Cool. We're going to align with you guys. Do you know when you're going to be at the hotel? We're going to be there, Thursday night around 9 o'clock, Mark? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Map says?
Yeah, I land at like 5:30 or something, and it's a 3-hour drive, I think.
Yep. All right.
Is that what it was?
Waiting for you. I get to drive all the tools.
Thursday afternoon, hopefully. Perfect. We're leaving Wednesday morning, probably around 8 o'clock, and then we're figuring it's going to take 30 hours driving. We're going to drive straight. So is Jimmy Boykin, Jason White, who's got the world's fastest C6 at 269, and Jeff Pope from Huntsville. He's also an engineer at Boeing. He's a mechanical engineer, and myself will be in the rig. Jennifer will fly in. Patrick will fly in, and then so hopefully we'll be there Thursday night. Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, try to get some rest, and because I know everybody will be delirious after 30 hours of driving. At least Fat Hip's got a good stereo in it, so we might be rocking it out.
Drive easy too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we ain't doing that stupid. We're going across 20 because it's so much smoother than 10 down through Louisiana and all that. It's still a little rough, but
you better treat your boys good, otherwise they're going to hook up that navigation system in the tow rig so they can get some shut eye. Right, left. Oh shit! Drug stop. Pull over. We need to have Snoop Dogg narrate that. I don't know if you guys ever had the Garmin GPS with the Snoop voices. Did anybody ever have that? I downloaded that. Turn left, motherfucker. Right.
Take it right, dog.
Shazam. It was awesome.
I think they got rid of the custom voices for Garmin, though, didn't they?
No, they did. And then there was a hack for a while for some of them that you could still get them. I had the hack, but I've got, who is it? I left it out with Frank in Las Vegas at the class, Frank Guerrero. He's got my Garmin GPS. He loaned me his truck. We were out there in Vegas for like the whole week, and I left it in there, but he's got I think if he switches it around, if you're listening, Frank, you've got the Snoop voices on that one. It's pretty hilarious.
I'll check out that.
Oh, yeah.
The Morgan Freeman one voice is pretty good, too.
Morgan Freeman ones are good. Yeah. Yeah. And like Bill said, you can get his kid to do voiceover work for like $180 with the same voice. It's pretty awesome. Might have to get him to do the intro. But yeah, so anyway, my plan, I'm going to drive. I was surprised. Albuquerque, from where I'm going to be at that point in time, is it's like a 15-hour, under 15-hour drive to Albuquerque from Southwest Iowa. Who'd have thought? I was like, that's going to take 2 days. I'm like, no. So I'm going to bring all the electrical tools and stuff that they won't let us take on the airplane.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I'm also going to
deal.
bring some video
Good deal.
cameras, some GoPro, just in case. I mean, I know if you got a guy that's got GoPros, I'm going to make sure we have at least 2. But we're going to try to get some in-car footage and do a data overlay where James has got us set up with a dash. We're capturing data from the factory computer. So we'll try and do one of the classic RealTuners data overlays. We're trying to get the audio feeds from the nav system. We've got a multi-channel recorder we might run in the car. I'm going to be engineering that junk, and then also James's kind of feedback. If tuning stuff, if we need to make some changes, then I can plug in the HP tuners and get him on TeamViewer or AnyDesk and get his guidance. Or if he's going to be there, even better.
Yeah.
Jesus, but
Yeah,
I
that'd be
can't
awesome.
see Angel putting up with any more of you being gone, James. I don't know. I told her, I sent her a message tonight. I'm like, girl, you are a saint. I sent her a message. No, don't you think I'm weird messaging your wife? And I was like, thank you. Because like her and the kids all got the flu while James is out of town. Oh, shit.
Oh yeah, I come back to a sick house.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I'm trying to
sucks.
quarantine myself. I don't need this junk. I got too much work to do.
Right.
And Sunday night, I thought we was going at Chris in the doghouse. He was supposed to be at a Super Bowl party about 4:00, and at 4:00 my transmission's hanging on a forklift, and so his girlfriend came out there. I said, I really appreciate you. I'm sorry about this. She said, don't worry about it. So anyway, he got there about 5. Got a shower, got out there about 5:00, so it wasn't too bad. So we just rolled up the sidewalk after that. He said, we'll meet you back here in the morning. Let everybody go do this thing. And there's been a lot of families. I'm gonna try not to get emotional. It ain't gonna happen. But
You're ruining so many lives. I'm just kidding, Dan. You're not.
man, I'll tell you what, there's so many people that just sacrifice so much time to help me. If I started naming all of them, we'd be here all night. And man, I sincerely appreciate anybody that's ever helped me in any way. I've been blessed, to have so much help and support on this deal.
No, you bust your ass, man. You drive this whole thing. So you get the people motivated and going. And you never asked or begged for anything. You know what I mean? You're like, hey, I'm just going to sell some pens and we'll try to fund the car with that. And it's like, all right, that's a cool idea. I can buy into that. So no, we're lucky to be associated.
We got some sponsors come on board. We'll have a press release next week or so. So it's going to be good. A lot of big things coming up, and I think this is really going to open the doors for a lot of opportunities for me in the future. And even at this event, if we go and break the record, this ain't the end of it, because I want to be able to, the guidance system's going to be there, but we won't be able to make any 100% solo passes at this event. We got, and I understand this. I know I got to prove myself. So I want to be able to later date come back and make 100% solo passes.
People need to realize this is an R&D session for all of us with the nav system.
That's right.
Yeah, so this is a test session. We hope to smash a number, but man, I've gone to Bonneville with a car that was ready that took 9 years before we got, the goal achieved, but we're just going to keep at it, whatever we're going to do. But I mean, it's set up that it should hit the number, provided the nav system, which I'm going to speculate needs a couple of passes worth of tuning. I mean, it sounds pretty amazing, and you've used it at Bonneville, but go ahead.
And Steve, like I said, if we got access to the place Friday, that's going to help tremendously. Because we started making, I've been 100 miles an hour max Corvette, just a little bit past 80 mile. So, and that's for me, a nervous wreck in my buddy's $75,000 C7 with a concrete wall, 5 feet from me. So I'll be a lot more relaxed.
Wait, you did that since you lost your eyesight?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had to do a video for OrCam. And so we're on the way to the drag strip, and one of Mac's good friends is also his insurance agent. And so we're riding the track in the Corvette. It's a 17 or 18. And Bruce calls him. He said, what are you doing? He goes, me and Dano's on the way to the drag strip. He goes, what are y'all doing? He says, Dano's going to drive the car. We got to make a video. And the insurance guy goes, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
I think Fowler already hung up the phone, man. I'm not sure he's even still with us. He's like, what?
No, I'm just composing a series of letters and denials. And all that.
He's working on that. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, like I said, we learned a lot off the first guidance system. Me and Patrick talked a bunch, and we got a really good game plan that I think is really going to work good. The new system is totally new. Basically, the first system, we weren't trying to go fast. We went 65 miles an hour on the motorcycle.
Sure.
And so, which is respectable for what we did, especially with 70cc two-stroke. And but we learned so much. The new system's so much more sophisticated with gyros and just everything it has. And so we learned a lot. Patrick feels a lot more confident in it. And so I whether we break the record or not, if we go around 150 miles an hour, man, that's the world's fastest independent blind racer, and that's something to be proud of it. We're shooting for the 201, but I'm also realistic. I've been racing, for since I was 8 years old. So
check this out, man. Not to interrupt you, Dan, but you got a guy on I know this guy actually on Facebook, Chase Griffiths. Spaceport is about 45 minutes outside of Las Cruces, but I have welders, a lift, tools, and access to a machine shop I work for if you need anything. So
Bill
cool.
His phone number,
Chase Griffiths, contact me, Scott at RealTuners.com. Give me your contact info, but I see him on Facebook too. I know who he is.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Be careful because we may be taking you up on some of that if we blow shit up. I don't think we're going to break anything, but
Joe Pena that used to work at MSD.
Right.
He messaged me a little while back. He said that, his shop is in El Paso. He said, so, you need something, you're passing through, you have trouble, you call me, the shop is yours, So, that's pretty cool.
I've said it before. I think I even said it when I was down in Florida at Joey's, but racers are the best people.
Yeah,
I mean, racers can come together like no group I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You'll see. Yeah. You'll see a guy go into the final round lending his competitor parts so they can race each other.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a customer that loaned to Freiburger some spark plug wires so they could finish, if they could get their record of doing 5 records in 5 days or 5 records in a week at Bonneville or whatever. And they had burned up some plug wires, and one of my customers whose record they were going to take his record from the 1950 Buick, I think it was, in whatever class that Freiburger was running that Camaro in, and he helped him out by giving him some plug wires. It's like, oh, go ahead, man. We'll come back in a couple years and try and take it back. Man, that's pretty badass.
We were at ADRL race one time, and the guy had to run next round. He ran our local nitrous, outlaw group down south, and he came to me. He says, well, you got a freebie this next pass. I said, why? He said, my wheelie bars are broke. I had titanium wheelie bars. I said, that's all that's wrong with it? He said, yeah. I said, get them off. And so I told my guys to get my welding stuff out of the trailer, get me set up. I just kept working on the car. When they had everything inside, I went inside, welded his wheelie bars up, handed them back to him. Said, now get your ass back in the lanes, and that's what it's about, and I've been on the giving end, I've been on the receiving end. Of both
ain't no
that,
fun not beating them fair and square. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go fast, have fun,
be safe,
make friends. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Be humble. Yep. That's it.
Yeah. Humble. Fuck that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Thank you, Scott Clark.
No,
yes, indeed.
I'm not the guy whose mouth is going to get any of us in trouble or anything like that. But no,
I'm just the internet.
Right. I'm feeling good because number one, James Short tuned the car, and so I don't have to worry about that. I got to worry about capturing data and video and then being a hand, and maybe I'll go run for sandwiches and whatever else. But
does anybody on the crew know how to cook? Because we'll bring the grill.
Dude, I'll do the cooking. I'll do it. So I am widely known for doing the cooking, because if the tune's working and the motor's running good, there ain't shit else to do. I'll do the cooking, and I'll make some good stuff. Actually,
that's your job. You got help.
Yeah. No, in fact, I'm glad you said something.
Going to be a live broadcast of some sort?
It's going to be live streamed through Motor Mania TV.
Yeah.
The event's going to be live streamed.
Yep.
Yeah, repeat that, Dan, so that everybody can get and understand where that's going to be.
Motor Mania TV, Mark Walter. They're going to live stream the event.
Yep. You guys know Mark and Jeff? Yeah. So they do a bunch of events. So Mark Walter, good guy. He's done some of the Ducks races too. But they're going to live stream it. I am at least going to make some recordings useful for later, whether we can get off. I don't know what the Verizon reception is like down there. If it's good, I'll do some live interviews with Dan. Or I'll be if it's good, I'll have my live streaming going the whole damn time, like at the start line, like I did at Bonneville. If you guys followed us last at World of Speed at Bonneville, I'll do the same damn thing because it's pretty easy for tuner guy, you know, to ride in the truck or whatever and push truck or whatever we're doing, and or be at the like Dahlquist said he could be at the other end of the track at the big end. I don't know. We'll try to come up with something, whatever we can do. But if not, we're gonna at least make some video and audio recordings that we can play back on the show later. So yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe there's an opportunity for a live RealTuners broadcast somewhere in all of that, or at least a recorded one.
Yeah. Cool. No, I told Chase, we'll hook you up, Chase, brother. We'll get you in there. No worries. I'll help you figure it out. Cool. Well, so yeah, we're pretty excited about that. That's coming up here week after next. That's coming up quick. Man, I'm glad you suggested I do the cooking. I'm going to bring some goods. I'm gonna bring some stuff to do it up right.
We got a grill, so we'll put
I do some good pit cooking. I mean, the guys I like idolize on that. If you've ever worked with Dwayne Mills, Mills Racing team at all, I helped them out. Just covered them for Fuel Tech for a couple of races, and goddamn, Dwayne Mills is the best chef for the pit. He's kind of become my mentor on the cooking in the pits, but we'll make it happen. So
that's cool.
Yeah, all right.
My corner wouldn't let me eat in the pits. One time I came out of my motorhome and I had a devil square. I was eating one and the other one's in the wrapper. And Bill said, "What are you going to do with that?" And I thought he was hungry. I handed it to him. He just squashed it up in his hand and threw it away. He said, "I don't pay to buy all this titanium for you to get fat."
Son of a bitch. That's all right.
He told me that down there when I was down there this weekend.
Makes a perfect table.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead.
I should get some salsa in the mail.
Get it in the mail to me. If you want, Mark, get it in the mail to me in the next couple of days, and I'll take it with since I'm doing the driving. But I was tempted. I still have a little bit of the pizza sauce left. Really tempted to bring some of that out. But yeah, let's see what we can do on the grill there. I'll bring some accessories. I got a little thing of my own. But cool. So let's see, theblindmachinist.com. Where's the place that we can most directly order a ride-along pen for $250? Where can we?
It's at the Blind Machinist. There is the ride-along pens, a section down there, and the pictures and the thing are just, they're not of the ride-along pens because they're not even. I got them finished machining. We're going to take them to the Cerakoter tomorrow, and I finally decided to go on the red, and he got the red in, and so that's just an example. Then there's a box with the example. You know, after the record, everybody that bought one will get a laser engraved box, their name, the details of the run, you know, and so it's going to be a really special deal. It's not just, you know, pitching, throwing $250 out the window. You're going to get something special in return. This, you know, part, you're supporting history, you're going to get part of history back with it, you know, and so they're pretty cool. Like I said, there's probably at least 25 left on the counter to sell, you know, and it sure would help.
All right, you son of a bitch. Everybody's going to watch me. I'm buying one right now live on the stream. So
there you go.
Hold on. I'm doing it now. I want one of the ride-along pens. Get them in there. Yeah.
As anybody knows, a project like this just eats money. And Mark can tell you, when we was at Joey's, I was wearing out a credit card because we needed something. You know, I told my sponsors, I told myself, I told Jennifer and everybody else, I said, I'm not doing this half-ass. You know, we're going to do this right. And, you know, Wade at Race Park Solutions hooked us up with Fragola hoses. Every hose in the whole car is Fragola crimp. You know, there's, you know, so if we had to have it, we got it coming, you know, and like when y'all suggested the AM dash, you know, you know, they didn't have the money, but we made it happen. And that's what it's about, you know, because at this level with the sponsors and, you know, you only get race land speed time a few times a year. This ain't like you go every weekend, especially with the travel involved. And so you got to make the best of what you can. And that's what, you know, I'm really trying to do this and the car shows, you know, with the detail work and, you know, we're trying to go first class. This whole deal. I just thrown the most Corvette together when it was yellow and white and everything else and come out, you know, looking like crap. But I said, no, wait till it's right, you know.
Okay, I just bought a ride-along pen live on the live stream.
Right.
That's pretty funny, but yeah, right. So you motherfucker, you better have that ready. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
Or your car ain't going 200. No, I'm teasing.
Limp mode, bitch.
Right. Right. Well, it's got a factory ECU. I think it's stuck in limp mode, but we're cracking jokes tonight.
I think it'd be great to have the Snoop Dogg command somehow piped into the
hey, that's why
just
we're
saying.
making
Dog, hang it
recordings.
right. Yo, dog, hang it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Dan, did I hear correctly that there are ride-along pens in pink?
No, I
No?
do have some executive. Now, if somebody wanted one, I can make that happen. The machine won't work will not be the exact same as the ride-along pens, but I do have 5 executive pens machined in pink. Yes, and I could substitute one of them for a ride-along pen. Yes.
I think it'd be good to have a his and hers ride-along pen, if you get my meaning. So
Yeah.
we'll
Right.
talk more.
Yeah. So like I said, I got 5. So next weekend, Jimmy will be out of town. Next weekend, so my weekend will be spent assembling pens. This is no problem.
It's not a rush. It's not a
Yeah.
rush. Yeah.
So
Other than getting them on the car, of course. And the good news is it's a land speed car, so a little extra weight with, everybody listening, a little extra weight in the car for land speed
Helps.
not going to hurt anything.
It helps.
Yep, we need to put 500 pounds of pens in this car, so let's get that done.
Get it done, you guys. That's actually pretty cool. We can't talk about the other really cool news. There's more coming from this program, folks. We're just going to leave it at that. There's some cool stuff
people
coming down the pipe.
Some really cool stuff we can't talk about, but
pay attention to what Dan
this is
Parker's
tip
got
of the
going
iceberg.
on. You get to say you listened to him when he was on his podunk ass little podcast.
Yeah.
Then he,
like I said, we're just tip of the iceberg. What's really going to happen? Some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
it's cool. I'm excited. Like I said, Steve Strupp, ECTA, man, I can't thank him enough for
same here.
welcome me to come out there, jump on board, to be my co-pilot.
I think he's probably listening. So thank you, Steve. Man, you're awesome.
Yeah.
I talked to him for about a half hour this morning. Yeah.
And it's going to be a cool event. It really is. There's going to be some cool cars there. Big Red is going to be there. I remember seeing Big Red in the magazines before I went blind, and I always liked it, so there's going to be some really cool stuff there. And I'm looking forward to it, man. It's I hope one is going to be the premier land speed event. Steve's really putting all his heart and passion into this deal. And I hope, we can help him grow it in any way possible.
Right.
And
Now we're going to help him out.
and
East Coast
one-
Timing Association. We go way back with them.
Yep. And one good thing about it is we got a spare set of wheels and tires. So if them data logs on the GPSs come up with a 2 at the first digit, we're gonna mess up a set of tires, brother.
Right. Look out. If we get it done, we're going, That's hilarious.
Yeah, Steve might have to give me some drifting lessons down there on top end, because I want to see if I can't do some donuts. I'll see if I still got some in
You gonna make Snoop Dogg be rapping on the radio there. Be like, left, right, left, right.
Hang on. That's right. Showtime.
Right? Just keep it on your hats. I got a funny idea. We can do something funny with that after the fact. I'll make sure we get the right video for this. But we can do something funny.
All right.
So cool. All right. Check it out at theblindmachinist.com. Get a razor, get a
and
pen, get a
Tranky.
ride-along pen, and pay attention to RealTuners. Pay attention to, honestly, go join the RealTuners Radio podcast fan page. That's a mouthful. The RealTuners Radio podcast fan page. I'm on there right now. Check it out. This is where I'm going to post any videos and updates that we do. So you sign up for the RealTuners Radio podcast fan page, and I promise to keep you updated on what's going on. And I'll also put up links to the Motor Mania TV live feed.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys heads up when we're staging, so you know when to watch. And I'll try and me and Mark will try and do the best we can as far as if we have reception out there. If not, what we'll do is we'll take the videos on the phone, we'll upload them afterwards. So we'll make sure everybody's up to speed. But that's 2 weeks from now. What's the date on that? The weekend of the...
February 21st to the 23rd.
Yep, gotcha. 21st is a Friday, 22nd, 23rd. So that's 2 weekends from this weekend. Fucking sweet. Barnhill, I kind of wish you were coming out for this, man. I don't know what you got going on, but if you high dollar drifter guys want to come out and hang out, let me know.
Hey, Scott, sorry. I miss all of that. I'm in the middle of remoting in working on a PMU right now. What are we trying to do? I'm sorry.
So I was just going to say, if you want to come out to this event, let me know. It's out and you're going to fly into New Mexico if you did, but it's 2 weekends from this one. But If not, you're another guy that would be good to have out there. We're out in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah. Shoot me some details. Let me see
we'll
what's
talk
going
about
on.
it offline. Yeah, we'll talk about it offline.
Yeah. All right, cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
You got
All
your
right,
camera working again. Check that out.
Yeah. So it turns out when my laptop fell off the car, it just unplugged the camera. So
easy
laptop
enough.
looks a little crappy, but it works fine. So
We thought it was broken. That's funny. So, Yep. All right. So join us on the RealTuners Radio podcast fan page. Sign up for that, and it's we'll keep you updated there. So let's see what else.
Everybody go to Tragedy to Triumph Racing on Facebook. Give it a follow, give it a like, and keep following my journey.
Yep, I'm going to take us there right now since I've got this whole thing working. Okay, there we go. So there's Tragedy to Triumph Racing it's the @Dan Parker Quest for the Salt is the tag.
Yep.
Let's see here. Lots of photos, lots of videos, lots of cool. Oh, here you got the whole story of the. Okay, this is where all the photos are for the car. If you want to see the build, we'll post links here. We'll let Jennifer let us have admin or something so we can just go ahead and cross update both those pages while you're doing it. You don't got to worry about it. Yeah.
And a lot of people. How much time we got left? How much time we got left, Scott?
We got all the time you need, man.
Oh, one thing. What I was going to share a little bit of my story that people might not know the backstory to me.
We have another 40 minutes, man. So take your time. Do it.
Okay. For those that are new to my story, don't know what the deal is. Why I was a blind man racing. I'm the 2005 ADRL Pro Nitrous World Champion, and in March 31st,
stop. Let's say that again. The Pro Nitrous ADRL World Champion MFs. Yeah. So carry on. The damn didn't come out of nowhere. Go ahead.
Yeah, 2008, me and Billy Harper were in the finals at Valdosta ADR race. We were the first side-by-side 3-second pass in Pro Nitrous history. March 31st, 2012, we were testing a brand new Fulton 864 5.3 bore space motor. And on the first full pass, the first pass had a 101 come back. I have no memory at all of the day of the wreck, still today. I zipped it up a little bit on one system with a 28 jet, had a 0.947 60 foot. Next pass, by 2 to the 330, by 262 to the 330, turning on a 22-second jet at 2 seconds in. The next pass, we decided to enter the race because they had an outlaw pro mod race, and everything's going to go. We're going to try to take it to the stripe, see what it did, and had a 951, 262, and something went wrong right before the 8th mile mark. I went through the traps at 407 and 175 sideways. Went across from the left lane into the right lane, barely missed David Reese, tore a chunk out of the wall. The car went to flipping and destroying itself. When it came to a stop, there was no motor, no transmission, no firewall, dash bar, front suspension. And I would wait 2 weeks later from an induced coma to find out that I was 100% blind for life. Afterwards, I built a motorcycle. Let me back up a little bit. After about 6 months of deep depression on the verge of killing myself, in a dream one night, it came to me I could race again. Now I could just race the Bonneville Salt Flats. All I had to do was go straight. How hard is that? No, jokingly. And so I designed a motorcycle and became the first blind man to race Bonneville in 2013. I returned in 2014, set my FIM class record with no exemptions for blindness, as I'm the only blind man in the world that's ever raced with no human assistance. I have a custom guidance system built by Patrick Johnson, an electronic engineer at Boeing Phantom Works, who's also, he likes racing. Him and Alan Dudley used to own MFI Electronics, fuel injection company. And so Patrick did all the software and everything for that also. And so I set my FIM class record in 2014. So a little over 2 years ago, I decided to try to build a car to become the world's fastest blind man. So I bought a salvage 08 Corvette with no interior, no motor. And what you see on the pictures and the photos, 2 years of hard work and dedication and a lot of help from a lot of people.
For sure. Wow. We're getting lucky on the slideshows tonight, too. I'm literally just going through the timeline. I saw the pictures of the wreck.
Hey, yeah. So, Dan, we've had the pictures of the wreck. There's been a lot of that. There were some pictures that went through a little bit ago about you on a shooting range.
Yeah. Tell us about that adventure.
Yeah, you should talk about that a little bit because that's very cool.
Yeah, so I'm on the U.S. Paralympic development team for the visually impaired shooting. So I was the first person in America to have this equipment. And since then, I've got some more teammates, and there's only really 4 of us, I think. I haven't shot in a while since this Corvette project's taken off. So we're shooting 177 air rifles at 30 feet, 10 yards, and we're hitting the target basically 2 millimeters diameter. And so there's an acoustic aiming system. We have to put a special sensor below the target, and the aiming system is concentrating or zoning in on the target, and then your rifle is shooting at the target itself. And the aiming system is concentrating on the sensor. The rifle is shooting at the target. And so if you hit in the 2 millimeter area, that's a 10. The closer center goes is a 10.9. The next ring is another, I think, millimeter, 2 millimeters in diameter. And so that's a 9, etc. So you have to take 60 shots in 60 minutes. No, actually 40 minutes now. And
wow.
So my best is a 560 something in actual shooting targets, shooting live ammo. So originally when I signed up this deal, they told me that it was going to be an exhibition class in the 2020 Tokyo Paralympics. Since then, that's been canceled. So for this next year, there's no more VI shooting going on at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado. I've been there twice last year for training, and the Olympic Committee dropped the exhibition deal. So this whole next year, the OTC is only concentrating on athletes that will go to the Paralympics, obviously. And so it's not in the budget, the funds, and the space. That place is amazing. And so I spent 2 different times, 1 week each, at the OTC in Colorado. And it's really neat to be part of something like that. It's cool. We got some good teammates. And Jim Sadecki, one of the teammates, him and Jason Pepper, they went to Croatia to start with, and then they went to Australia. And Jim, his second ever event, because the sport has been contested all around the world. It's just new to America. It's been contested around the world for years. And on Jim's second event, he got podium. He got 3rd. And man, he's awesome. Jim is totally blind. He has prosthetic eyes also. I don't. He does. And he's military, got out of the military. He's working for his uncle's crane service for 2 weeks, and a cable broke, snapped, and came across and took his eyes out.
Oh, shit.
And so he shot some competition stuff before he went blind, and he actually shot guns a bunch at his house after he went blind, but just, people, telling him rights and lefts, or ups and downs, etc. So through a mutual friend, Jay Blake, Jay told him about what I was doing. So Jim reached out to me, and he bought the aiming equipment, and he's got his own shooting range set up in his house. He's set up to really excel at this, and he will. He's going to keep doing good. And just a good dude, man. You'll never find a kinder human being in your life. And so he's doing good. And Jason, so Jim got 3rd. I think Jason got 5th or 6th in Australia. But so all that's on hold this year. I'll get back to it, after the Corvette project sort of settled down and the 2020 Paralympics are over with. We'll get back to concentrating on that. The caliber, this equipment is crazy. You think of a blind, and so the aiming system is giving you tones. It's like
through your headphones, yeah.
Through your headphones, and it's crazy how sensitive it is, and how accurate, how smooth you gotta be. And, the stocks in these guns are adjustable every way possible. The trigger is adjustable for how sensitive it is. It's cool. It's
some neat equipment you're shooting with there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking at the pictures.
The equipment comes from Finland, and so Eco Aims. Yep. There's only 2 approved manufacturers in the world. This Olympic Committee approved, and one's in Austria and one's in Finland.
Nice. Anybody else here feel like an underachiever?
Like you have to wear a tracksuit to shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
I told Dan when I was in Florida that he honestly, he had thanked me for taking my time to go down and help. And I said, you've made my life better just knowing him. And I think that applies to all of us because, we all get down, we all struggle. And, I read about what he goes through just on a regular day.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what? If Dan Parker could do it, I can do it.
Almost. I don't know. Maybe. I'm even I don't
you
know if
wanna
I can do
really-
it.
You want to really kick yourself? Try doing something, machine something, okay? Build something for your race car, and then within 10 minutes after you got a finished product and you're all happy about it, Dan Parker posts about something, and you're just like, God damn it, this guy's showing me up and he's completely blind.
I know, right? Go look at that video where somebody took a video and you didn't know, and you were working at the mill, and you're measuring God damn it, 10 thousandths off, son of a bitch.
and that video got 200,000 hits, I think. I know it was at least 170,000.
We shared the balls out of that. Yes.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I had no idea. I knew because I was using my click rule. That's just why I used to measure within a 16th of an inch. And I felt it. And I said, man, this one's close. So I thought Joey and Carlos were across the shop because I was just over in the corner working by myself. Everybody had jobs to do, and I was doing mine. And so it felt close. So I turned on my talk box, my digital calipers hooked to it. And so I pointed across the shop, and I said, looked across the shop, and I said, this is no good. It's 10,000 off. And Joey sort of said, really? And it sort of startled me. I sort of moved to look at him, and I had no idea that he was.
He's like, I've been videoing you for 6 minutes, man. It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
It was pretty fun to watch you work, man. It looks like you're feeling your way through it. It's pretty cool.
Well, and the other thing is
that's not your shop. No, that wasn't his shop.
Just walked up to some strange mill and strange vice, and then it didn't feel quite right. And he's like, hey Joey, we should take this apart, and hey, have you got a couple of tools here? And I've got it all fixed up, Joey. It's really smooth now. And all of this just in a strange shop working off in the corner and all by himself. Then he wanders over, finds a belt sander, starts using the belt sander. Then he wanders over. I mean, it's like, good Lord.
Yeah. Because
right.
when I went to the blind school, LCD, Louisiana Center for the Blind, for 9 months, and we took wood shop for 2 hours a day. So it teaches you that they don't teach you that as an employment skill. They teach it to as a confidence builder, And so, I heard everybody going to that belt sander for days, and Joey and Mark were just wide open on stuff. And I was just building some mounts for the trailer. So I just went over and I found it with my cane. I knew about where it was in the shop, and I found it with my cane. So I started feeling around until I found the switch, and then try not to lick the belt while I was running. And it was and so just deburn parts, because that's trying to be a contribution to the deal. I've told people at the motorcycle, this ain't something I'm some rich guy that paid somebody at an engineering company to build this for me. This is my design, and had a major part to build it because
we don't even have wealthy sponsors yet. Yeah. No, this is so grassroots. It hurts.
I lost everything when I went blind.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is
it's tough, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, people see my shop, they see all my tools. The only reason I have them tools is Bill, my sponsor, bought them from me because my father, we were trying to sell everything to keep the roof over our head.
Sure, yeah. Which sucks.
Let's talk about your sponsors, Dan. Let's talk about sponsors on the Corvette. Let's give them a little bit of attention. They deserve it. Who's helping you right now?
Well, Bear Brakes has come on board, and they sponsor brakes and pads. Not calipers, but their big 6-piston caliper set would fit up under my 18-inch wheels. Aeromotive fuel system is, giving a complete fuel system.
Hell yeah!
K1,
thank you, Aeromotive.
Yep. Thanks to Steve and Matusik and Jeff Stacy, and K1 Technologies give crank rods, Wiseco pistons.
Awesome.
Frankenstein Engine Dynamics donated a set of Brodex heads. Dart block. We got a John Bewley spec camshaft in it.
Little John in the house. Sorry.
Yep. Full competition. Did all machine work and assembly of the engine. I ran Gene's engine since the 90s.
Yeah. Gene's got a whole lot of records under his belt. Yep.
PTC donated a torque converter.
Thank you, Lane.
PSI donated wiring harness. Speed Wire donated the wiring system. Gil, Canada, thank you. Jason Digby has helped me with the SPA techniques on the fire system. We talk about our safety, and 10 pounds is the minimum. And my car's got 2 10-pound systems in it. I got one 10-pound system dedicated to the engine bay and one 10-pound system dedicated to the driver's compartment. Diversified painting in Poland, Georgia, painted the car. Storm and Norman Custom Cages up in Indy. He works for Morgan Lucas in the fab shop. And on a side hustle, he does roll cages. Corvettes is one we specialize in. He donated me the roll cage kit, the hoop, the A-pillar bars, and the bar.
Nice.
And we bent everything else. And Little Art race cars. He spent, I think, 3 weekends come up here on his time. We put the roll cage in here at the house. Brad Ashton used to work for LS Experts. He come and helped me do a bunch of Corvette work, cut the hood out. And I sort of had to teach him some tricks from the blind fabricator, how to do that, from my prior chassis shop days. I'm trying to go through the list of everybody that, Joy Hart race cars, obviously, did everything. And my buddy Jimmy Boykins helped a bunch. Jigs, Troy Sr. Helped me with the wheels and tires on the car. Man, it's just, I'm trying to think. I don't want to miss anybody.
Strut Masters.
Strut Masters.
Strut Masters.
Oh yeah. Never mind. But that's to be announced. So.
Never mind. Forget that. I'll be deleting
it. And so we've been blessed. Ride Tech. All the coilovers, triple adjustable.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. Tech. Thank you, Brett Vogel.
Yep. Steve Christos and them.
So I'll tell you what's cool. I'll tell you right now what's cool about this, Dan, is a lot of these guys give out free parts to lots of people, and the people that don't ever do stuff with them, you're going to do stuff with them. So this is going to be cool. This will be rewarding for anybody who sponsored this program. We're going to make damn sure you're happy you sponsored this program, buddy. We're all going to give it our best.
And I misspoke earlier. What I meant to say was throttles performance and short tuning.
Right.
There you go. And
Joe Timney wasn't on this too?
Timney. Yeah, he sponsored me a Stroud parachute. Thank you, Joe. And
you guys will remember Joe from being on our safety episode. Yep, Joe's talked chassis safety before with us, and he worked with me on the Streamliner we tuned this year at Bonneville that we got a record with.
Yep.
So.
And I think he sent me a private message today. I think he's going to come to the event also.
Oh, sweet. Joe, if you're out there, we're looking forward to that. That'll really help. That guy's smart. He's super good to have around. Cool. Well, you got
it's been good. There's so much, as we all know, we're all racers. We know what it's like to build a car. Something like this, it's tough. And, but, I'm proud to say the car basically is my design. I have a lot of hands helping with it, but, Mark will tell you, when I'm there, I'm giving input, on how I want things or, how I think we ought to do it, and Joey and Art and everybody, that's been there. Art would be at that shop welding bars, and I'd be out there in my tuba notcher notching bars. So it's a lot of design is mine. I'm proud of it. That there's other blind land speed racers, but as far as I know, I'm one in the world that's ever built the car. The guy Mike Newman that's got the record now, he did it in a borrowed supercar, and I could have broke the record probably a long time ago in a borrowed car, but I refused to do it because I want to do it in my car I designed. And he said that, he regretted doing it that way. He told Ben in Australia, because when people would want him to come do a speaking engagement or something like that, they always want him to bring the car, and he didn't have anything to bring, it's been a long journey, but it's going to be worth it,
Right. Well, man, we are super proud of you, and we are proud to hopefully help out however we can. Man, I'm going to cook for everybody. That's something I can actually do. That'll be a good time. It's kind of nice. I've tuned a lot of land speed cars, but it's nice not having the stress. No pressure, James.
We might have to get some sticker, the RealTuners wolf pack.
Right. What size of shirt and hoodie are you, Dan? What size of shirt are you?
Medium?
Yeah, okay. No. Bullshit. Yeah, I was gonna say XL, 2XL for me and Mark. Yeah, so all right, I'm bringing some clothes out, so we'll have that part. But cool. Yeah. All right. Well, anybody else got questions for Dan or comments? Hey, I just wanted to do some shout outs here real quick. Number one, Chase Griffiths. Thank you, dude. I'm going to talk to you here. I'm going to email you back as soon as the show's over. But he's volunteered a shop and tools and a lift if we have a reel binder, which I'm telling you what, that's the kind of shit that helps so much. We are going to have you, I'm going to have him out. And then another guy, Jerry3567. Sorry, Mark?
I was going to say, you know what else helps, but that's what you were getting to.
What? Buy a pen.
Well, the people that are buying pens.
Yeah, Jerry3567, dude. Thank you, man. He said, from one tech ed teacher to another. Good luck, dude. I'm buying a pen now, and he bought a pen. Kick ass. I bought a pen, so I'm awesome. Kill Switch, thank you. Got my pens, Dan. They're awesome. So all you guys. It's always good to see Kenny Howard on here too, my bud. Let's see what else. So I think that about covers it tonight. If anybody else has questions, you know how to get a hold of me, Scott, on Facebook or Scott@RealTuners.com. We'll let these guys.
You help a blind brother out and buy a pen.
Yeah, man, buy a pen or buy a razor. The razor's well, I just bought a pen, so it's going to be a couple days. But so anyway,
we'll get you a razor.
Hell yeah, yeah. So cool. Well, we're going to do. So Mark, you realize I'm going to be doing the show Wednesday night. Not this coming Wednesday, but the following. I'll be doing that from the road. I talked to Evans about engineering that one, and then I can do it from the road. And then we'll go from there. But the following weekend, the 23rd weekend, is when we're going to be keeping you updated on Dan. So thanks again, Mr. Parker, everybody else.
Vince will be cool. Where they got Army Armstrong and Chad Reynolds going to be broadcasting, so it's going to be a cool event. When you're limited to only 30 cars, everybody's not going to have to wait in line for 5 hours to get one pass a day.
That's going to be your own private deal. Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to it, man. I don't know how the hell we're going to get a blind guy going 200 mile an hour down the fucking runway, but I'm definitely going to be in the front row seats watching. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks again, guys. All right, so
everybody appreciate it.
Yep, cool. All right. Well, we'll send you guys off. I don't actually have any outro music tonight, so we'll just go ahead.
You can use my tape of me snoring earlier.
I got a recording of that. Sounds pretty good. So, well, yeah, we'll let that be the music on the way out. That's kind of ironic. I don't have any outro music because this stupid app is crashing. It's in the middle of crashing on me right now. So we'll just go ahead and mute all you guys, and then I'll unmute you here in a minute when we're done. Everybody, thanks for listening. Take care, and we will talk to you next week. So everybody have a good one.